Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Chris Morris, and I'm going to be doing lesson 6 in our working knowledge training. What we're going to do today is we're going to create an informative table panel inside our VP4 Virtual Panels 4 software. And the reason we start with this is because it's a very basic panel, but everything that you do inside that panel will translate over into all the other types of panels that you can create. So we're going to get right into it here. Navigate to your VT3000 welcome page, and once you're there, just going to click on our VP4 option here, and we're going to be going into panels, so we're going to click on that icon. And over here in our add new, we want an informative one, so we're going to click on page 2, and we're going to select informative panel table right here. So we have our properties tab first. It's just wanting a name for the panel, so we're just going to give it a name. And the refresh interval is exactly the same as it was in our messaging panel. So how often do we want to refresh the data? Default set for 5 seconds. Should work just fine for an informative panel, so it's not really getting anything. Layout. So this is how we're going to make it look on the screen. So as I was saying in the previous lesson about what it's like, it's like an Excel spreadsheet. You can add rows and you can add columns. So basically, what you saw I just did was here's to add a row. I just click down here so you can see it. I click plus, and now I've got a new one underneath it. Basically columns will be added to the right. So if I want to add a new column, well, as you can see now, that shows up there. Want to remove them, which I actually do. Just want to make this 3 rows and 3 columns. So I'm going to subtract. So now I got my 3 rows, 3 columns. You can also take a cell or row in this case, and you can merge it so that if you want to put just a title bar across the top, you can just select that cell, plus we'll merge it over, select minus, and it unmerges it. You can do the same thing for up and down. Say you wanted to make a block over here, hit your merge vertical, plus adds them in, minus takes the cells away. So once you have your cell created, however it is you want to do it, then we can select what we want to put inside that cell. So down here at the bottom you'll see type. The first type that you can do is text, which basically just going to put text inside that cell. So just type in what you want to portray inside there, right here in your content box. Now basically want to see it populate, click on another cell, and now you'll see your text inside there. For that text, we can do a couple things with it. We can align it differently. So right down here in alignment, we could make it align to the left with that option. The default, which is centered, so that'll just center the text in the cell. Or we can click this where it would justify it to the right. You can also move it inside the cell vertically, so like this would make it set to the top of the cell, in the center of the cell, and this will be at the bottom of the cell. For me, I'm just going to center everything. Font style, so if you click this, it would basically bold that text. Click that one, it would italicize it, and if you click this one, it would basically underline it. So I'm just going to bold it. Font, we do have some selections for different types of fonts. You'll see them here. So there's Arial Black, Courier, Lucinda, Tahoma, Times Roman, Veranda, and Permanent Marker. On the PowerPoint page, it will show you what each one of those looks like. So you can see this is Arial Black, this is what Courier looks like, Lucinda, Tahoma, Times Roman, and Veranda. Then of course this is the Permanent Marker one. So we'll go back over here, but you can change the font into whatever you want it to look like. The next type of cell that we could set up is an image. And so basically select the cell, select image, then on content select what the image it would be. So these are both from our previous session here. I got my logo, so I'm going to go ahead and throw my logo in there. And as you can see, it'll just show up right there. Another type you can do inside here is you can add a widget. like I said, little widgets are just small panels fit inside big panels. I actually have some set up, so I'm just going to select that one, and it's going to show in here. So you have your cells set up in the ways that you want. So what you might want to do is you need to change the colors of it. So for a text cell, you would basically select it. You would come down here, and basically background means the color of the background of that cell. So if I want to make it yellow, so essentially now it's going to be a yellow background with white text. You can see it shows up here. Click this, and we can select the color of the text. Just going to select black. You could also select a defined color or custom color, which we went over previously. So for me, like I said, I'm just going to select black. Now I can see it shows up here. It's going to be yellow background, black text. Do the same thing for a logo. Generally with the logo, it has a white background. I know mine doesn't. It has more of a blue background. But what I could do is I'll just set it to a blue that's pretty close. So now it'll kind of blend in with the logo and not look like separate colors. Informative panel, that's not going to really pay any attention to what you do here because it's basically showing that widget. So whatever's set in that widget, that's what's going to show up in this cell. You can also take this and blink it. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to turn the background and the foreground to colors you select here and go back and forth with those like every second or so. So what this would do is it would have a yellow with black text, and then it would blink to yellow and yellow, which means essentially the text would disappear then reappear every second. You could even do a thing here where you basically just reversed it, so it'll show yellow background, black text, and then it'll flip to black background, yellow text. Whatever it seems like you need to get someone's attention, that's generally what the blinking is used for. I'm going to go ahead and deselect this here. I can do this, like I say, with the logo. You can blink the background. It's not really going to do anything foreground because it doesn't have any text on it. A widget, it's not going to change anything because it's going to go off based on what's programmed inside that widget. Last thing I want to get into here with the text cell is basically how do you want that text to appear inside, basically the size of it. So that's what you have down here in size, and so it's essentially a percentage. So what you're saying is with this 4 is you're saying, hey, I want this text to be 4% the size of the cell. So however big that cell is, the text will take up 4%. Depending on the type of monitor you're viewing it on, how big that monitor is, this can be adjusted to what looks right. It should scale pretty close to what you set up on a smaller monitor, but in some cases you may need it to be bigger or smaller. So once you have content set up inside your cells, there's some things you can do with them. So you can copy it. So let's just say you want to copy this text from here and I want to place it over in this other cell. So then basically I would just hit paste. As you can see now, that cell looks exactly the same as that cell. And if I made a mistake and I'm like, oh, I want to go back to the default, I can basically click on a default cell, copy it, paste it. Now there's no content in there whatsoever. The other thing you can do is you can move a cell. So let's just say it's here, but I want to put it over here. Basically select the cell and I can hit my move left or right. For me, I'm going to hit right. And if that's a mistake, I want to move it back like that. Move it over here. So the other thing you can do is you can go up and down. So just say you want to move that cell to the bottom. Oh, made a mistake. Move it back up. I'm also going to move this back over to the left. So that's essentially those options that are inside there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to merge this so that my cell appears across the top. I'm going to put a logo there. I'm just going to copy this, paste it there, and then I'm going to put an image in here of my factory floor like we did before. And then this, I'm just going to merge this so that it shows all the way across the bottom. So now you kind of see what mine looks like, how I've got it set up. Once you get everything you want, you can hit save and exit. So that'll basically save this, exit you out of here, bring you back to the panels list. If you just hit save, it basically will save the changes you made but leave you here on the editing panel page. The other option is discard, which in our case, since it's a new one, is it'll just basically remove this panel, won't exist. If you were editing a panel and you hit discard, it would just remove the changes that you made. So I'm just going to hit save and exit. And as I can see here, my informative panel now appears on my list. I can do all the same options. I can edit, go inside there, change the name, or move cells around, change cells, unmerge them, whatever I want to do. Go to discard. The other option here is delete. Be careful, because once you select delete, it doesn't ask you, it just does. You can also do a printout like we do with the messaging panel, where it'll show what everything is. So this is more for a technician, just so he can understand what settings you have set. And you can copy, once again, just like we did with the messaging panel, copy it, give it a new name, basically the same. Now what we want to do, we've created it, we want to view it on our monitor, so basically select the panel, hit view, and this will also let you see how mine looks compared with the options that I selected on it. As you can see, my testing cell 1 appears here all the way across. I got my logos on either side of my picture. As you can see, I made my blue background here, you can tell. This one I left it black, and then this is my informative widget, just has text in it when it's white on black text. So go ahead and close that, and this will conclude our lesson on setting up an informative panel. Back over here to our PowerPoint and summary. So we did pretty much everything here. We added rows, removed rows, added and removed columns. We merged cells and unmerged them. We used our clipboard to copy and paste cells. We moved cells, up, down, left, right. We did the different types of options available for a cell. So there's text, image, widget. The content, so we entered in text when it was a content or when it was a text type. We selected an image for an image type, and we selected a widget for a widget type. We played with the alignment, left, right, center, up, down, bottom of the cell. There was the font styles, went over the different ones, bold, italics, underlined. Went through the fonts, how you could select different fonts, what those were, showed you that on the PowerPoint. The size, went over the size of the text inside the cell, and then the color of the background and the text, obviously for a text cell, not the image or the widget. As I explained to that, it doesn't really do anything in foreground, but background you can change. And then we learned how to blink. For a practical app here, we have, add an informative panel and do a text, change it, the type of it, change the style, change the colors, select a blanket, add an image to it, and copy and paste a cell, move cells around, move them up or down, and copy the content of a cell and paste it into another cell. I was saying here, copy and paste cell is more like for the default where there's nothing in it, just so you can see how that works. Additional information, this again will take you to that virtual panels main page that you can navigate from, and this will just go over the panels and the options inside the panels, which basically what we did today for the different types of cells. Thank you for joining me today. Appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing you next time.